Welcome everyone. We are back again, and I was just going to do about a 20 or 30 minute, just a nice opening of the body, probably more into a yin or a deep stretch opening of the body, the mind, and the spirit. So kind of get things rolling today. If you don't have blocks at home, you probably have a mat, so go ahead and roll your mat out. And if you don't have blocks, things that can work like a block would be books, pillows, things like that. And as you come into your own home studio, you kind of find things that work best for you. So go ahead and take a few moments, get the things that you need to feel comfortable. We're going to be a fairly grounded practice, so not a whole lot of moving around. Kind of get it deeper into the muscles and kind of open up our minds, our bodies, and just feel really, really good when we're done. So go ahead and find those things you need. I'll take a few moments here and sit awkwardly while we do that. And then once you've got all the things that you need, we'll go ahead and actually start today's practice seated. So a nice way to start seated, if you're not overly comfortable in a seated posture, you can use blocks if you have them. You can also use books, stack up some pillows, some blankets, whatever feels really good to you. And try to make sure that your knees are in line with the hip bones. If they were sitting up like this, you're probably not real comfortable. So add a little bit of height underneath the sit bones to raise the sit bones up and recreate the natural curve of the spine. Once you have them, take a few moments here and just begin to get acclimated to seated. Take a few shoulder rolls back and down and let those shoulders melt down your back. Find a resting point with the elbows underneath the shoulders, and again, the palms can be up or down. So finding that just right placement, noting that neither is right or wrong. It's just kind of following the natural instincts of your body. And then once you're there, come into a space of stillness. We're going to take just a few moments of stillness just to begin to set our minds and our body for practice. As you begin to find stillness in your body, begin to root into the earth. So get that connection by grounding down. Feel the connection of the earth's energy and let it move into the body and create a sense of stillness and balance both in the mind. So taking a moment here and then begin to gradually allow the eyes to soften and close, beginning to close off outside distractions and drawing your awareness inward. As you draw your awareness inward, focusing on the content and the quality of your breath, and just observing how your breath is moving through your body at this moment. As you inhale, begin to feel the expansion of the lungs from side to side, front to back, top to bottom. Breathe in, and then silently or audibly release the breath, let it go. So I want you to go ahead and move through a few more rounds of deeper breathing. So you can come into belly breathing, which allows the breath to drop a little deeper into the base of the lungs. Begin to feel the expansion from side to side, front to back, top to bottom. Draw the breath upward to the heart space. Pause at the heart space, love, kindness, and compassion for yourself and others. And as you release the breath, sharing the love, kindness, and compassion with the world. Again, we breathe deep, allowing the breath to lock a little deeper into the base of the lungs, expanding lungs from side to side, front to back, top to bottom, drawing the breath upward, maybe reaching the base of the throat. Pausing here once again for a bit of breath retention, and audibly or silently release the breath, let it go. So at your own cadence, your own pace, I want you to move through a few more rounds of deeper belly breathing, taking note on really allowing the breath to move deeper into the base of the lungs, really expanding the lungs and really taking in all that life has to offer. So breathing in, opening up mind, body, and spirit, drawing it into the cells, the organs, the tissues. And as you release the breath, think of that feeling of letting go, that beautiful surrender. So take 3 more breaths here. Last 2, and last breath. Really sigh it out, let it go. Begin to bring palm to palm compression to heart space. Feel the thumbs move into the sternum. Shoulders are rolling back and down. Bow the chin to the heart and take a pause here at heart space. If you'd like to set an intention for this practice, for your day, for the week, the weekend, wherever you are, take a pause here. And as these words begin to form in your mind, they create an intention. And an intention is anything meaningful to you that carries you through your practice. It gives you a momentary pause and allows your mind to stay focused. As these words begin to form in your mind, they create an intention. Take 3 more breaths at heart space. Each inhale, drawing in the power and the positivity of your intention. And as you release the breath, share that positive vibration with the world. Each inhale deeper, drawing in the positivity. And as you exhale, sending that vibrational energy out to the world. 1 more breath here. Oh yeah. And go ahead and bring the chin back to center. Bring a soft gaze. Your eyes, palms stay together. Inhale, draw the hands up through the midline. As you exhale, celebrate the beginning of a beautiful day, a beautiful life. 2 more, drawing up Exhale, celebrate. And last one here, drawing the breath up. And exhale, celebrate life. Release the hands behind the body. Interlace the palms together. Draw the shoulder blades together. Draw the palms together. Straighten out through the arms. Inhale, bring your gaze up. And as you exhale, come forward. Inhale brings us back to center. Palms stay together. Draw the palms over to your left hip. Shoulder blades roll back and down. Inhale brings us back to center. And as you exhale, bring the palms over to the right hip. Shoulder blades roll back and down. Inhale brings us back to center, arms move up overhead, bringing that good energy all the way back down to the heart space. And we roll forward on the knees and begin to bring ourselves into an upright position. So again, if you have blocks, you can go ahead and begin to set your blocks at the front of your mat or have anything that you need for extra added comfort or support for your practice. Once you come onto your mat, we're going to start in table position with the wrists directly underneath the shoulders, the knees about hip distance apart directly underneath the hips. We're going to begin to get acquainted with our lower body. So coming into some pelvic rocking. As you inhale, drawing the pelvis toward the body, head, neck, and spine stay nice and neutral. As you exhale, draw the pelvis away. So pelvic rocking is really good at strengthening the pelvic floor. It's also good at beginning to tone the muscles of the abdominal. So really getting those abdominal muscles to move with the spine. So core and spine work together here. So finding that space to move in your body. And the next time you come back into neutral spine, I want you to pause here. We're going to begin to move into full cat and cow. Breathing into the lower abdominals and sending the breath all the way up through the spine, one vertebra at a time. This time we allow the full spine to move with the body. We're going to pause here and gaze between the hands. You're going to feel that strong activation of the core. And then with the next inhale, directing the chest to the gate of the shoulders, head and neck move with the spine, belly releases toward the earth. And again, we breathe into the lower abdominals, sending the breath all the way up through the spine, feeling that beautiful articulation of the spine. And as you inhale, directing the chest through the gate of the shoulders. Go ahead and move through a few more rounds on your own. Find that ebb and flow of your body. And as you come into movement, if you want to begin to incorporate any other kind of movement into this, you can incorporate some child's pose. You can come into some hip circles. You can come into some barrel rolls. So this is about time for you to really find that beautiful organic movement. So whatever calls to you here, just finding and giving yourself that time to find and move organically. So I've got about 5 more rounds of breath here. Last 3. Last 2. And last 1. Let's go ahead and bring that into our first child's pose. So as you come into child's pose, big toes come together, knees can be close together, wide apart, or somewhere in the middle. We're going to start with an active child's pose by walking the arms out in front, creating space underneath the armpits, allowing the spine and the body to move into this. Sit bones gradually release toward the heels. Gaze is down. You can bring your chin or your forehead to the earth. And as we come into this space, if you feel like you want to come into a more surrendering space, you can begin to bring your arms to your side bodies. You can bring your hands in prayer position behind the back of the head. You can also stack your arms and rest your forehead on your stacked arms. We've got about 3 more rounds of breath here. And in this space, again, you have room for that big, beautiful, deep diaphragmatic breathing. As you inhale, expanding the lungs from side to side, front to back, top to bottom. We're going to open up our mouths. H-A, ha, breath out. Release it, let it go. Again, inhale deep. And exhale deeper, let it go. Last breath here. And sigh out that breath, let it go. And bring yourself back into table. As we come into table, we're going to step forward with the right leg. We're going to come into a low lunge. And if you have blocks, you can set blocks on either side of that front foot. You can also use books or sometimes even Tupperware can work. So again, finding what works in your own home studio. The tailbone begins to release down. The shoulder blades are rolling back and down. And we're coming into the space of creating movement of energy from the crown and releasing the tailbone. So starting from the center line, letting everything expand outward. And take a moment here and just come into this space.
And then if you want to add a little bit more to this, you can begin to walk that back leg out. If you're looking more to stretch the hip flexors here and come into a little bit more movement, you can come into the depth that you need to. And as we come to this space, make sure you have knee to ankle alignment, knees tracking the second and third toe. From here, we're going to begin to get light on the blocks and bring your hands to the knee. You can also inhale your arms up overhead. If you want to challenge yourself, you begin to bring your gaze upward. Breathe in, breathe out, expanding energy out through the fingertips, breathing into the body. Palms come together, exhale, release, heart space. Release your hands to the blocks and walk the blocks back so we come into runner stretch. We're going to start by drawing the toes toward the body and away, coming into some flexion. And then as you find this movement, if you want to add more to your practice, you can begin to release the hips toward the heels. Coming into a little deeper movement here. So again, I want you to find that just right space that is right for your practice today. Last 3, last 2, and last breath. We go ahead and come back to center. We're going to walk the blocks forward. We come back into low lunge. And then from low lunge, we're going to open up the hips a little bit. So why do we open up the hips? Well, we do have the tendency to store it, or we can store energy in the hips. So by doing hip openers, it's releasing the flow of energy back into that space. So we're going to work on that a little bit today, just to release a little bit and really have that feeling of letting go. And as we do that, we have this beautiful release of energy in the process. So we're going to come to that point. So from here, we're going to set the blocks to the side. We're going to walk the right foot over to the right side of your mat. And we're going to create space to walk our hands to the inside of the right foot. So we're coming into lizard pose. Ideally, you have shoulder to knee alignment, but if you're not there, that's perfectly fine. You'll work toward that in time in your practice. We're going to take some time here and just breathe. So really allowing the hips to open with the breath. And as you move through your practice, give yourself time to find these different postures in your yoga practice. So we breathe into the postures. Don't go to the space that you need to right away. Give yourself some time to just really breathe into it. And then as you come into the space, if you feel you need to add a little bit more, you can begin to bring blocks to the inner line of the right foot. You can also drop down to the forearms. You can bring the thumbs to the third eye position for more contemplation and focus. And if you're really flexible and you want to add even more, you can set the blocks to the side and drop all the way down to the forearms. So again, it depends how deep you want to go in your practice. We've got about 3 more rounds of breath here. Last 2. And last breath. Let's go ahead and bring it back to center. And we're going to walk the right toe over to the right side of your mat, coming at a diagonal. Now you can stay here in your practice, or you can roll onto the right side of your foot, creating a little bit more opening in the right hip. You can stay here once again, or you can bring the right hand to the inner line of the right thigh and begin to look over your back shoulder. Again, we've got about a 3 breath count here. Last 2. And last 1, we rotate back, walk the hands between the hands. And we'll go ahead and step that front foot back, coming back into child's pose for a 3 breath count. Don't forget to use your breath. So really using and utilizing your breath here. Last 3, last 2, and last 1. Inhale yourself back to center. We step the left foot forward, placing a block or whatever you have handy on either side of that front foot. You may not need blocks, that's okay. Shoulders are rolling back and down. Again, take a look at alignment, knee to ankle alignment, knees tracking the second and third toe. And if you want more opening through the hip flexor, you can walk that back leg back. So again, finding that level of depth that you need. We're just stay here for a moment, allowing the tailbone to release down, finding that center point in the body, then expanding out. So reaching through the crown of the head and releasing that tailbone down. Take 3, 2, and 1. If you want to add more to your practice, you bring your hands one at a time to the front knees. Stay here or inhale the arms up overhead. Spray out with the fingers. Open up your heart space. Energy, gaze upward to challenge your practice. Last 3, last 2, last 1. Palms come together and down through the midline, sitting your hands to blocks, and we step it back into runner stretch. Starting here, moving through some flexion, drawing the toes toward the body and away. And you can stay here and play in your practice to release, or you can come all the way back to the heel. So again, I want you to come to the level of depth that you need in your practice, knowing you always have options. And if you are working for injuries, please modify. If you're not sure what to do, we'll have some time to do classes on what to do to modify your practice, but today is not that day. We got last 3, last 2, and last breath here. Let's go ahead and bring it back to center, and we'll mindfully release that foot down. Go ahead and set your blocks to the side and walk your left foot over to the left side of your mat, and we begin to walk the hands to the inside of the left foot, moving into lizard on the other side. And again, trying to find shoulder to knee alignment, but if you're not there, that's perfectly fine. So we're beginning to gradually open up through the hips. So give yourself some time to breathe into this. So not rushing through your practice, even if you know you can move deeper, give yourself a moment of breath in between. So we breathe in to create space in the body. And as we release the breath, we find that beautiful depth. Now, once you start in this space, if you feel like you want to add more, again, you can place the blocks to the inside of the left foot. You can drop down to the forearms, bringing the palms together. If you want more focus and contemplation, you can bring your thumbs to the third eye position. Now, once you're there and you're feeling like I have just a little bit more to give, you can set the blocks to the side and you can begin to bring it all the way down to your mat. So again, I want you to find the depth that you need. If it's the first, second, or third spaces, it doesn't matter. It's all about how you feel in your body in your own practice. So again, everyone gets a gold star just by being present. So wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. We've got 3 more breaths here. Last 2 and last breath. Let's go ahead and walk ourselves back to center, and then we'll move into that more hip opening as we did on the other side. Left toe moves to the left side of your mat at a diagonal. Now you can stay here, or if you want to add more, roll to the outside edge of the left foot. Stay here once again and bring your left hand to the inside of the left quad and begin to look over your back shoulder. So coming into the depth that you need. Last 3, last 2, and last breath. Let's go ahead and breathe ourselves back to center. We'll step that front foot back and come into 3 breaths in child's pose. So giving yourself about 3 breaths in child's pose, whether you're in an active child's pose, surrendering child's pose, or child's pose in prayer position. So again, 3 big breaths as you inhale, expand the lungs from side to side, front to back, top to bottom, open up your mouth, ha breath out, release it, let it go. 1 more just like that. Beautiful, and we'll bring it right back to center. We're going to begin to move up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So to get there, let's go ahead and roll the fingertips to the palms of the hands. Spread your fingers nice and wide, and press your ring and your thumb into the mat. Direct the energy up through the arms, engaging the shoulders. Shoulders are rolling back and down. Tuck your toes, bend your knees, and when you're ready, send those sit bones high for down dog. As we come into dog, let's come into some mobile dog. So we find some movement. Maybe moving between plank and dog, treading through the feet, rolling through the spine, whatever feels really good to you right now. So remember, it is about you, your body, your practice, this time that you set aside just for you. We're going to go ahead and raise that right leg up, create just a little bit of heat in the body. We're going to bend the knee and draw the knee toward the nose. We're going to do this 3 times. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Go ahead and extend that leg long, and then we're going to bring the right knee to the right elbow. Hold here. Inhale, lengthen long. Right knee to left elbow. Hold here and a twist. And inhale, lengthen long. Go ahead and release that leg to meet the other. We come back into some treading of the feet. Go ahead and find stillness once again. Inhaling the left leg up. Point the toe directed away from your body. As you inhale, draw the knee toward the nose or the chin. Inhale, lengthen long. Inhale and exhale. Draw it forward. And exhale. Inhale 1 more time. And exhale, extend it nice and long. And then we bend, left knee to left elbow. Hold here. And exhale, extend it long. And then inhale, crossing the midline. We have left knee to right elbow. Hold here and a twist. And inhale, lengthen long. Go ahead and release it down. Go ahead and find a little bit of movement here. And then we're going to go ahead and begin to bring this now into pigeon pose. We're going to inhale the right leg up, point the toe directed away from your body. We're going to bend the right knee and draw it forward, placing the right knee on the outside edge of the right wrist. And we're going to walk that left leg back. Now, if your right hip does not come all the way down, you can place a block
a book, a blanket, or a pillow underneath that hip. So I want you to find nice squared hips and take a few moments. This is a pose that tends to take some time to come into. So once you're there, remember it's external rotation on that right hip. So you're not leaning on that right hip even if you want to. It's a very strong hip opener. I want you to really focus on keeping your hips nice and squared with the front of your mat. I'm going to take a few moments here and just find the space in our body. We're going to start with an active pigeon, extending out through the back leg, and check to make sure that leg's extended out from your hips. So really making sure that you have all the alignment in your body so you can come into this safely and get all the benefits of the pose. I'm going to take a few more rounds of breath here. And if you're crying out to come into a sleeping pigeon, you can begin to walk your hands forward. You can stack your hands and rest your forehead on your stacked hands. You can also place a couple of blocks. So if you need to bring the earth to you, go ahead and do that. We're going to stay here for a few rounds of breath, really taking in all the benefits of this hip opening posture. And I'm going to be quiet now so you have some time just to kind of find your space. We've got about 5 rounds of breath here. So using and utilizing those 5 rounds of breath. Last 3, last 2, and last breath. Let's go ahead and inhale, coming back to center. We're going to find that nice long spine. Go ahead and begin to tuck the back toe and go ahead and extend that right leg back. Give it a shake and release it. Maybe coming into some hip circles just to kind of create that movement of energy. And then go ahead and release it down to meet that. We're going to inhale the left leg up, point the toe directed away from your body. We're going to bend the left knee and draw it forward, placing it on the outside edge of the left wrist, walking the right leg back. We're going to pause here for just a moment. External rotation with that left hip. Hips are squaring with the front of your mat. And again, placing some support. So even if you feel like it's more comfortable for you to lean on that hip, you're not getting the benefits of that pose. So you want to make sure your hips are squaring with the front of your mat. So to do that, we bring the earth up to help keep that pelvis and the hips nice and squared. Starting here once again with a nice long spine, really extending that leg out from the hip and breathe. Now again, if you're really crying out for that nice surrendering posture, you can inhale, and as you exhale, coming into sleeping pigeon. Again, we've got a nice long breath count here to really take advantage of this beautiful opening posture. Take some time here to come back to your intention, to find the content and the quality of your breath, stay and remain in the present moment. So being very grounded in the present moment. Last 3, last 2, and last breath. We go ahead and come back into that nice long variation. Tuck the back toe, extend that leg out. Go ahead and give it a little shake and release. Tread through the feet. Roll through the spine a few times if that feels good. It's really getting some movement in your body as you need to. I'm going to go ahead and come forward, dropping to the knees. Release the hips toward the heels, coming into child's pose. And as you come into child's pose, you can go ahead and rotate through the wrists if that feels good, and gently rock the head from side to side. Got about 3 rounds of breath here. Last 2. And last breath. Go ahead and walk your hands back to center, and we'll extend the legs out. Let's take a moment here. We're just going to come into a Dandasana, staff pose. So as you come into Dandasana, allow the shoulders to roll back and down and let your arms rest at your side. You can even press your palms into your mat and raise your hips up just a bit. Extending out, pressing evenly between the ball and the heel, and really feeling the elongation of the legs, opening up the hamstring muscles just a bit. We're going to pause here for just a moment or two. If you need to have a slight bend to the knees, you can even roll a blanket underneath the bent knees. This can help if you have tight hamstrings. I'm going to take 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to gradually begin to walk our hands forward, keeping the spine long for as long as you can. Now, if you feel a tug in your low back, it's letting you know your hamstrings is extended as much as they're going to. So always pay attention to those body cues when you're moving into your practice. As you inhale, creating space, and as you exhale, creating depth. Inhale, space, exhale, depth. We've got about 3 rounds of breath here, wherever you are. Last 3, last 2,
And last breath. Let's go ahead and breathe ourselves back to center, bending through the knees, and we'll go ahead and come onto the spine. Now we're going to come down on our spine with integrity. So arms come out in front, palms face each other, and we'll roll down one vertebra at a time. Once you're all the way down, we'll go ahead and bring the arms up overhead and extend nice and long with the legs. Full body stretch, extending out through the fingers and the toes. Take one more big, beautiful breath here. And as you exhale, hug those knees in close. Go ahead and find some movement from side to side, front to back, whatever feels really good. And then we'll go ahead and bring this movement to stillness, releasing the feet down to our mat. We're going to come into some windshield wipers here, placing the feet about mat distance apart. We're just going to begin to allow the knees to fall from side to side. Now, as you come from side, I want you to press out through the top knee. This helps to create more activation in that top hip. And then as you rotate gently over the low back, bringing it over to the other side. And again, pressing out through the top knee on the other side. Now, if you just want to have more of a soft, fluid movement, you can just begin to move from side to side, but always move with integrity in your practice. So never having that flippity-floppity, just really finding that beautiful, fluid motion of connecting breath and body. And then once you're even on both sides, we'll go ahead and come back to center. We'll finish this practice with a Setu Bandha bridge posture. So in bridge pose, the shoulders are rolling back and down, the arms are at your sides, and we're going to come back into that pelvic rocking. So we did pelvic rocking in a table position. We're going to do this reclined, so it gives a little different perspective to this movement. I want you to place the flat of your hand on your lumbar spine, that place where you have a natural curve in your spine. As you inhale and as you exhale, I want you to press the flat of the back toward the mat. Inhale, it draws away. Exhale, it presses flat. So I want you to do that a few more times, just really feeling that movement through the pelvic region. You'll feel your core, you'll feel your low back. And then the next time you press the flat of your back into the mat, I want you to pause here. And I want you to begin to push your feet into the mat and draw the knees away from the body, allowing the hips to rise. At this point, we come into Setu Bandha bridge pose. We're going to hold here, but we're not going to hold the breath. So keep your gaze straight away. Shoulders rolling back and down. Knees are drawing energy through the knees. Shoulders again rolling back and down. Last 3, last 2, and last breath, rolling down one vertebra at a time. Come all the way down. And we come back into that pelvic rocking once again. The next time the flat of the back comes to your mat, we'll pause here, draw the knees away from the body, and maybe finding that you have a little bit more movement in your body. You can roll one shoulder and then the other, interlacing the hands underneath the body if you want a little bit more of your practice. And once you're here, again, continue that natural rhythm of breath. You can even come into some Ujjayi breath, which is the oceanic breath, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. As you do this, think of widening the nasals and the throat. As you breathe in, think of widening that space, and as you breathe out, think of widening, creating more space. It makes a sound like you would if you were fogging up a mirror, or hissing, or a sound of a shell, an ocean in the shell. So kind of that is what you're kind of looking for in this. But again, you can experiment with your own practice and come into that that's just right for you. Once you're here, we're going to begin to extend the right leg up, pointing the toe. Just creating a little bit more integrity to your practice. Draw the knee in toward the body and go ahead and extend out. 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back down. We come to the other side. Try to maintain your pose as you come in and out, and begin to extend the left leg up. 3, 2, and 1. Extend it long, and then go ahead and release. And then from here, we'll gradually roll the shoulders out and come all the way back down onto the back. Go ahead and extend your legs long. Release your arms to the side, palms facing upward. And we'll begin to move toward Shavasana. Now, if you have a favorite other posture for Shavasana, you can certainly come into that space. Let the eyes begin to soften. Let your feet roll out to the side, shoulders gently tucked underneath the body, palms facing upward. As you begin to come into this space, begin to wiggle through the fingers and the toes to release any residual energy. Begin to allow the eyes to soften and close, coming back into your own practice. Begin to feel the grounding energy of the earth move through your body. And just begin to find that natural cadence of breath once again. As you begin to come into this space, begin to feel the softness and smoothness of the breath. Muscles begin to relax. Breath begins to slow and deepen once again. And begin to come into this space. Begin to imagine your feet walking in cool water. Feel the coolness of the water splash between the toes. I want you to imagine stepping out of this cool water and observing the plane of water. Stick your toe back in and give the water a stir and watch it make ripple upon ripple upon ripple. And as you pull your toe out, you begin to find the water move back to stillness. As you begin to come back into this space of stillness, imagine yourself lying still, the breath moving slowly in and out of the body. You feel a sense of calming energy move over your body. As you breathe in, creating space in mind and body. As you breathe out, you find that release, surrender, and let it go. As you breathe in peace. As you breathe out calm.